Hi, I'm ShunYi, PhD student at Singapore University of Technology and Design, and I'll be presenting our paper, Help Me Reflect, leveraging self-reflection interface nudges to enhance deliberativeness on online deliberation platforms. Online deliberation essentially encompasses all kinds of discursive online platforms, such as online forums, social media, blogs, and even comment sections on platforms like Reddit. The goal of online deliberation is to reach a consensus, a decision that is collaboratively decided together. However, just like any other online platforms, people may not be rational as we assume to be. It is not uncommon to see posts that are inflammatory or even off-topic, intending to provoke or stir the conversation away from the main topic, all of which may affect the deliberativeness, which is the quality of an individual opinion, as well as the quality of subsequent discussions. So what if there is some form of mechanism to enhance deliberativeness? For example, making use of self-reflection, which is a process of examining one's own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. What if we make use of self-reflection mechanisms to enhance deliberativeness prior to submitting posts online? And we can implement self-reflection through interface-based reflection nudges to induce users' self-reflection. Nudges are essentially simple interface changes to effectively alter users' behavior. To facilitate our approach, we ask two research questions. Firstly, we seek to understand what are the preferred and suitable texture reflective nudges for implementation on online deliberation platforms. We chose to focus on textual-based reflective nudges so as to align with the text-focused nature of online discursive platforms. Secondly, we seek to understand how the different textual reflective nudges affect deliberativeness. We first rely on literature on reflection as important theoretical inputs when identifying the textual reflective nudges. Based on our literature, we identified 5 of them. The first one, persona, which stimulates self-reflection through multiple viewpoints via the perspective-taking approach. Second, temporal prompts, which stimulates self-reflection through reflecting one's personal journey and life experiences. Third, storytelling, which stimulates self-reflection through short narratives. Fourth, analogies and metaphors, which supports reflection through reframing one's own thought. And lastly, cultural prompts, which stimulate self-reflection through reflecting on one's own biases and beliefs. These 5 will form our textual reflective nudges, which we call them as reflectors. The 5 distinct reflectors and their respective text-based prompts are shown here. These text-based prompts are generated using LLM, specifically GPT 3.5, on the topic of whether violent video games contribute to youth violence. For example, for the persona reflector, the text-based prompt generated is Marina, 16-year-old student who regularly plays violent video games for fun and believes that they are harmless entertainment. We developed an interface that mimics that of Reddit, as Reddit is a prominent global discursive online platform. The discussion topic is whether violent video games contribute to youth violence. We also developed a feature called Help Me Reflect. By clicking on Help Me Reflect, the 5 reflectors will be displayed here. Users can then choose a specific reflector to explore and delve deeper in that chosen reflector. For all reflectors, we also developed 2 new buttons, Recreate and Try New Reflector. For the Recreate button, as mentioned earlier, we use GPT 3.5 to generate new content for that reflector. To navigate back to choose a different reflector, users can click on the Try New Reflector button. To answer our first research question, we conducted our first study, which involves interviewing 12 participants. The study is a within-subject design. We asked participants to rank the 5 reflectors from 1 to 5, with 1 being the lowest rank and 5 being the highest rank. Our results were that persona ranked the highest. No significant difference were found between storytelling and temporal prompts as compared to persona. Hence, our top 3 reflectors were persona, storytelling, and temporal prompts. Participants also shared their feedback for each of the reflector. For persona, they like that it allows them to see different perspectives. For temporal prompts, they like that it allows them to reflect on their own personal experiences. For storytelling, they like how the stories are engaging and fun, but may be longer and less direct. For analogies and metaphor, participants found that it is a joke and they cringe while reading it. For cultural prompts, participants didn't like how it was not relatable to them. This might explain why the ranking for analogies and metaphor, as well as cultural prompts, were ranked the bottom. To answer our second research question, we conducted our second experimental study, which involves 120 participants. The study is a between-subject design, having 4 independent variables, which comprises of the top 3 reflectors and a control group. The experimental interface retained the same design as in Study 1, but the Help Me Reflector button is now limited to only a single reflector. For the control group, there is no Help Me Reflect button. Following prior work, we measure deliberativeness through 5 measures. Firstly, argument repertoire, which is the number of arguments present in the response. More number of arguments is better, which means better quality of deliberation. Second, argument diversity, which is the number of unique themes present in the response. Again, more is better. Third, opinion expression, which accounts for whether opinions are expressed. A score of 0 is given if no opinion or only information is provided, while a score of 1 is given if an opinion was made. Fourth, justification level, which measures the degree of reasonings. A score from 0 to 3 was given, with 0 representing no justification and 3 representing sophisticated justification. Lastly, constructiveness, which measures the degree of balance in the response. A score of 0 is given if the response is one-sided, and a score of 1 if the response is balanced. Our study results showed no significant main effect of the reflectors on argument repertoire. However, they do differ in terms of the quality of the arguments. In argument diversity, both persona and temporal prompts have higher number of unique arguments compared to the control, with persona performing higher by 48% and temporal prompts performing higher by 49%. For opinion expression, again, persona have higher opinion expression when compared to the control group, an increase of 94%. Participants in the persona group were found to display a greater inclination to voice their opinions and articulate their stance on the issue. For constructiveness, again, persona have higher constructiveness when compared to the control group, an increase of 191%. This is the same for storytelling, an increase of 125%. For temporal prompts, however, when compared to persona, they have a lower level of justification as well as a lower degree of constructiveness. A closer look reveals that they have far greater inclination towards incorporating personal experiences in their responses. This may explain why their responses are mostly one-sided and they have a lower level of justification, as personal experiences are often considered a weaker form of justification. In summary, our results showed that persona performs better in most of the measures, often outperforming that of the control group. Participants' feedback for persona were positive as it helps them to see multiple viewpoints and therefore allows them to be more open-minded. For temporal prompts, when compared to persona, it falls short in terms of constructiveness and justification level, as participants tend to incorporate personal experiences in their responses. However, participants' feedback were positive as well, as they liked how temporal prompts increased their thinking on the issue. As for storytelling, the results were more of a middle ground. Likewise, participants' feedback were positive as well, as they mentioned that they learned a lot through the short narratives, leading to knowledge acquisition. Our results suggest that the reflectors serve as a catalyst for self-reflection and can enhance deliberativeness. But we need to be mindful of our choice of reflectors, as they can influence the dynamics of the deliberation. For persona, it is more suited for online deliberative environments that seek to promote balance and opinionated viewpoints. For example, online forums, as our results showed that participants are more willing to express themselves and provide balanced perspectives. For temporal prompts, we found that there is a greater tendency of participants providing their personal experiences in their responses. Hence, temporal prompts are more suited for environments that seek to provide individualized viewpoints, such as online review system. For storytelling, participants feedback that they learned a lot through the short narratives and become more aware of intricate issues of the topic. Hence, storytelling is more suited for environments that seek to solicit feedback on complex and sensitive topics, as storytelling can provide contextual information. Another takeaway is that maybe we can combine or pair different reflectors. For example, temporal prompts, which encourages users to reflect on their own life journey, emphasizes on internal reflection, whereas persona encourages users to adopt different viewpoints by being in the shoe of others, which is a form of external reflection. We could explore how different reflectors complement each other so as to create a more balanced approach to self-reflection. Lastly, in this paper, we leverage on LLM's capability, specifically GPT 3.5. We believe that as LLM advances, such as using GPT 4.0, we can support users' self-reflection better. Our work has many application areas. The most direct ones are incorporating the reflectors on online forums to support users' reflection prior to posting. The reflectors may also help to combat misinformation by encouraging individuals to critically assess the information they encounter. The reflectors can also be adapted to educational settings. For example, storytelling can be used to facilitate discussions on complex topics, and temporal prompts can be used to encourage students to reflect on their learning experiences. In counseling, the reflectors can be used as a supportive tool for individuals to delve deeper into their emotions and thoughts, and a way for them to figure themselves better. Thank you so much, and I hope you will check out our paper, Help Me Reflect, Leveraging Self-Reflection Interface Nudges to Enhance Deliberativeness on Online Deliberation Platforms.